Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. A couple things before we get started on why I think the fabric is just a hot mess at this point. A couple of things to cover. One, I realize I've been a little lax on my videos for both this channel, Microsoft Hates Greg, and also DAX for Humans. There's reasons for it. A lot of personal stuff going on in terms of a lot of work stuff. So work's been super busy. Vacation, summer vacations. I took my son out to VidCon, and then we ended up going to, Orlando, Universal Studios, and that. I've been getting him ready for his driving exam. Trying to remodel a house at the moment. Hopefully, and then writing books, and you name it, it's been going on. So the thing that's fallen by the wayside is the videos. But a lot of that stuff's now starting to come to a close. And so hopefully I'll have some more time to put some effort into creating more videos. I've got some DAX for Humans content, kind of ready to go. So just bear with me a little bit longer and, we'll get things back on track. Okay. Second thing we should cover is I'm sort of breaking my own rule for this video, which, I'm not a rule follower anyway. And if I break everybody else's rules, I might as well break my own. And so what's going on is, so my rule generally is that I don't put out critical videos or videos that are critical of something that's in preview, because it's just doesn't seem fair necessarily. Okay, it's a preview. It's supposed to be kind of not all there and working. But I'm making an exception in this case for a couple reasons. One, I was part of the private preview for Microsoft Fabric, and that went on for like 6 or 9 months. Then they released it in like February, March. And now we're like 5, 6 months later. So this thing's been in preview for like a year and a half or something like that. I mean, that's enough time to be in preview. I realize that some Power BI features have been previews, like for years, like the shape visual. There's been perpetual preview. Then Microsoft just never bothers to release them. But and I don't know, Fabric. It seems to me like that Fabric's going down that path. So it's been around for forever in preview. It really hasn't gotten that much better. I mean, since I really started playing with it after the real preview started. Really, the only thing I've noticed that has gotten better is the the auto relationship detection, the cardinality. Pretty much everything else is just the way it's always been. Um, but there's also been so much hullabaloo and just content out there about how Fabric is the next greatest thing. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread. The it's really kind of gotten out of hand in my opinion, and I think somebody needs to like bring at least a little bit of reality back into the picture on this thing. This stuff's not ready for prime time. It's not even close, in my opinion. Um, and I'm going to show you exactly why in this video and just how far behind it really is. Um, and it's almost kind of the point. Man, I expect the MVPs out there, right? They are the marketing arm of Microsoft. I expect the normal amount of lying, or at least shades of the truth, right? But this has just gotten to the point of it's just outright lying, and I think it's really harming people. People that think that this thing is even close to being ready. It's a bald faced lie in my opinion. It's gotten out of hand. So anyway, all of that out there on the table. Okay, so the real impetus for this, and I've been wanting to do this video for a long time actually, ever since I saw the 2023 release, .2 release of At Scale. I watched the video for the release, and I was blown away. So if you think, like people are like, oh, it's game changing, is this? You want to see something game changing? I'm going to show you stuff that I feel is game changing. So yeah, so we're gonna get into this. I'm gonna play a little bit of this video. It's like a 13-minute video. I highly recommend watching it if you want to really see like some really cool stuff. But we're just gonna watch like a minute and a half of it. I had to record the video out here or the audio. So maybe I hopefully it'll all link up and you'll be able to hear everything. Um, we'll see. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's just get into it. And let me bring this up here. Um, and I'm going to click on the video to start it. And click on this at the same time. And 3, 2, 1, let's go.
conform dimensions that I have shared with my other team members, or other team members have shared with me. So I can pull in my customer dimension and my date dimension, for example, and my product dimension. And all I got to do is wire those up to my sales transaction table. So I can just go ahead, for example, and drag and drop and make a relationship connection to my customer dimension. So now I'm relating customer sales log to customer in my conform dimension. Now watch what happened. You see how I got all this great stuff like geography, city, and zip, two different roll-ups, all kinds of metrics, all kinds of attributes about my customers. I got that because of the way we share objects. So the customer dimension, if I double click it, is made up of its own model. You can see I'm on the customer dimension model now. And that now creates two other embedded models, including my geography dimension. I mean, my geography dimension is where it pulled in those two different hierarchies for geography, city, and zip. And it also pulled in what we call a security dimension. Means row level security will be applied by location for any query that accesses this geography dimension. So just like that, I got all of that data, those rules and all that metadata already encapsulated. And all I had to do was create that little orange line. So let's go ahead.
All right. So there it is, right? So I watched this video a few months ago, and this isn't preview, man. This is released, the released functionality. So I watched this video. I was like, wow, that is cool. And I realized you can sort of do that in Power BI with direct query for Power BI data sets. But this is being done in a browser, man, and in AtScale's cloud service and that sort of thing. And if you don't know what AtScale is, in full disclosure, I've written a few blog articles for AtScale. They wanted me to write some articles around direct query and some of the the pros and the cons of direct query with Power BI. And that's really kind of AtScale's, that's where their sweet spot is, really. So think of AtScale as, they can connect to Databricks and they connect to Snowflake, they connect to Power BI. But you can build your data models basically in their system. And then you can connect Power BI to their data model and using direct query. And they've got all these tricks and custom, code and proprietary stuff that makes it basically, almost as fast as import, right? Which is sort of the promise of OneLake and the Power BI data connector for OneLake and that sort of thing. We'll have to see where that goes. But this is a preview. This is out there. You can use it today. And that's really cool stuff, in my opinion. So I was like, the minute I saw that, right, the first thing I thought of was like, how can I do that? With Fabric, can I do that in Fabrics? And Fabric should be, if it's everything that it's, supposed to be, according to Microsoft and all the MVPs and everyone that's posting great things about it, it should be able to do this, just straight up easy, right? So I thought, I'll show you just how bad it is, just the state of it right now, and just how bad it is, as we get in this video. So yeah, full disclosure, I mean, I've written some blog articles for AtScale. That's how I first got introduced to them and started finding out about their technology. And it's really tight knit with Power BI. It kind of really integrates, quite seamlessly. So anyway, let's okay. So that's the inspiration for this video. Let's go create this in Fabric. Okay, so I spent hours doing this. And this is the one that came the closest to being similar, is the way I'll state it. But there's all kinds of problems. So what I ended up doing, I first started off trying to use data warehouse, and that was a god-awful disaster. So then I decided, I backed up and I started, okay, I'll use data mart. And you might be saying, well, why didn't you use data sets? Well, because when you create a data set, you don't get many options to connect to a SQL server or anything else, pretty much. You can manually paste your data, you can do a CSV Excel, or you can download the desktop app. But I wanted to do this in the web browser, in the service. So I fell back on data marts. So I'm going to show you what I was able to build using data marts. And I wasn't even trying to do anything even nearly as complicated as what was shown in that AtScale video. Okay, I was just trying to keep it simple. So here I'm loading up all I did was created a data mart, with a customer and a geography tables, and in a very simple model, and I put a relationship between them, right? It's not even that this is this is its own data model, like an at scale. I'm just going to create something simple. All right. Okay. So I was able to do that. So it took a fair amount of time to create that. Believe it or not. And where am I going here? That's back to that skill too. Okay, so then did the same thing, created a date dimension data mart, and then I did a product dimension data mart, and so this is the data mart. And as you might suspect, this is all adventure work stuff. So it's got your dim product category, dim product subcategory, dim product, right? Those are all in there. And maybe in a real world scenario, I'd have done, like in mastering Power BI and Power BI cookbook, I would have, kind of merge some of those tables together and that sort of stuff. But I'm just trying to do simple, just keep it simple for right now. Okay, so did that, and then I created a sales data mart where this is where it starts to get really wonky. Um, so okay, I was able to get a model, right? So I have my fact internet sales, and but I had to recreate all these relationships. Okay, and which made no sense to me. So what I did was I said, get data, okay, get data, and of course, there's no option for Power BI data sets that I can find. So I can't connect to Power BI data sets themselves. Maybe I could have done a data flow to the data set, or whatever, but we'd have this option here of data marts, right? Okay, so I can choose data marts. So I did. And so, I said, okay, I'm going to choose my data mart. And the first thing you'll notice, which is just god awful to me, is that it's asking for a server name. Well, I don't get a list like on AtScale where it's like, oh, here's some data marts that here's a pick list of data marts that you can associate, that you can connect to. Oh, no, no, no. Right? It's a server name. Example, blah, 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 data mart, blah. Well, where does this come from? Well, you get to stop what you're doing, close out of it, go back to your workspace, go back to your data mart, go to settings, go down to server settings, you get to copy this thing. This big, ugly, GUI URI thing. Then you got to do it again. And of course, what I did was I had to paste these into a notepad, right? So I literally like, okay, I need 3 of these. So here we go. I'll paste these all into notepad, and I am going to need this later. So I'm going to copy it now. That's for something else. So I had to go through each one of these and do that. Okay, now I can go now I can go back to my sales data mart. Great. I can pick up kind of where I left off, get data. And let's see here. We go. We don't see data mart anywhere on here. So we'll go here, go to data mart. Let's paste that big ugly string in. And then it makes me sign in, of course. Yeah, go ahead and we'll sign in. And we wait a little bit. Let me see next. And I think this is going to fail maybe because I already have this data mart as part of this. I'm not sure. Was experimenting with this earlier, but we'll see what happens here. Come on. It's thinking about it. If I see I never see another teal spinning circle again, it'll be too soon. I've spent hours doing this, putting this stuff together. Yeah, so yeah, exception, network related error, or instance specific error. I'm not sure what happened here. Server was not found or was not accessible, blah, blah, blah. I've been getting this error. It worked the first time I did it. I don't know if it's because, but you get a lot of errors. Like, and now that has, that's been one improvement. When this stuff was in private preview, nothing worked. It was all just errors all over the place. Now you just get mostly errors, not every time you get an error. So anyway, but when you click on next and when it actually works, it doesn't just add the data mart to like in the AtScale video, or just adds the data mart with the relationships. No, 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 no. You have to pick the tables in the data mart that you want, and you add them. And I added everything, right? In fact, if you go into the model here, I added, I chose the dim customer and the dim geography, and I chose even the relationship columns and the relationships. Although those are useless because when I brought them in, there was no relationship between dim geography and dim customer like there was in the data mart, right? It didn't preserve that relationship. So it was almost like why did I even bother building the data mart and putting all that time and effort into the model? Um, when you're just I'm gonna connect to the data mart and bring it in and it just ignores it all. Makes no sense. Versus like in the at scale video, you just you add the object, the data mart, or more or less, or the data set or warehouse or whatever it is in at scale terms. You conform dimension, I think is what he used in the video, and poof, it's all right there. All your hierarchies, all your measures, all that stuff is right there. Doesn't work like that in Fabric at all. And this is the good version where I was able to get something to work. We'll go through the bad version where nothing works in a little bit here. So anyway, so that was the first thing. So I was able to actually build the thing, but the user experience was just tragic. And that's where I guess I'm going with this is that like, even if they fix all the bugs and it comes out of preview and that sort of stuff, if it's still the same user interface and process flow, it's garbage, in my opinion. It's just it's so lagging behind anything else that's really out there. And AtScale is not the only game in town that has these kinds of capabilities. So I'm not here to shill AtScale or anything. I'm just using it as an example of something else that I feel is better, or it's something I can compare to. So anyway, so back to this. So then I created this sales report, which I was able to in my sales data mart. I was like, hey, create me a report, and it just auto created it, right? And okay, fine, go away. Oh my God, please stop. I've been through that like 12 times. So somehow Fabric is so bad that it just ignores that I've been here before, and it shows me the same stuff over and over again. So anyway, it's annoying. So I created this report, and you can see here's my data mart, the sales data mart, and it's reasonably performant, right? I can click on things and things change, So I wanted to know like, oh, how's this thing work? So I said, oh, download the file. Although this wasn't an option originally, but now it is. So a copy of my report and data, a copy of your report with a live connection to the data online. Great, download. Okay, so last time I tried to open it, it just failed miserably, but maybe it'll work this time. We will find out. This is going to be a surprise for both of us. Last time it just got hung up. It literally just got hung up. It may live. This is further than I got before. Hey, all right. So this is what I was trying to get to, actually, was trying to figure out how did they connect to this thing. So if I do transform data, a direct query connection is to make changes to your model, like renaming columns, and you need to switch to a direct query. So what is it not? What is it currently? It's live? Requires adding a local model. So this must be using some kind of live connection or something like that. Interesting. Okay, well, so that explains that. It actually is like a live connection, connected live to Power BI data set. So it's not connecting live to the data set behind the scenes. Okay, so it's no better than direct query in terms of performance and things like that. It's just that we're working with such a small data set that direct query / live doesn't have an issue. And plus my internet connection's solid. So okay, so that explains that. I feel better that I understand what that's doing. So we're not connecting to the data mart, we're connecting to the data set. Technically, so that's this piece that says the data set, not the data mart. Okay, good stuff. Right, but that did raise an issue because what I was trying to do, when I then got on the kick of, and it's the wrong one. That's my Microsoft memes folder. Uh, up Power BI. Yes, yes, there are memes for days. Just don't get too worried about that. Fabric hot mess. I need this one. So basically, I then was trying to experiment around with how to connect to Fabric items. So with OneLake and that sort of thing. So let's go and bring up. So I found, of course, I found this, right? Microsoft OneLake provides open access to all all of your fabric items through an existing ADLS Gen 2 APIs and SKKs. And they go through how to do this. And you just go to onelake.dfs.fabric.microsoft.com, workspace, and then the item, right? So I'm like, oh, well, maybe I can connect to my data mart that way. No, you can't. So I was able to get it work when I created a warehouse. And we'll go through that next. So this query actually was created, and you can see in the source step here, you can see in the source step here, there's that thing, onelake.dfs.fabric.microsoft.com. And then this is your workspace GUID and then your item GUID, which there's no real interface for this. You have to kind of manually stitch this together. So for example, go back to here and I go to this data mart, right? Here's my group, here's my workspace ID and my URL, and then here is my item, the thing, right? The GUID for that. So there's no way to like auto generate these. I couldn't find anything in settings or anything else that had the connection for it. You just basically have to manually create it from the documentation and then piece and part the whole thing together. So that's why I copied that earlier from that notepad, which is is the URI supposedly for connecting to my data mart. And the way we do this, right, is we go to more and we go to Azure. We go to Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. We say connect and we paste that in. And this is going to fail. I'm not sure how fast this is going to fail, but it's going to fail. Yeah, so we encounter an error trying to connect, I can't find it. Now, this worked perfectly fine when I did it for a warehouse. So that begs the question. I mean, this is in a Fabric workspace, okay? But if I go here, right, I got my little Fabric icon, it's got Fabric content, right? It's a Fabric workspace. And this blog article says, all your Fabric items. Well, apparently, so a data mart's not a Fabric item, even though it sits in a Fabric workspace, you know? So again, just even the documentation lies to you about this product. Because obviously a data mart it's apparently not a Fabric item if I can't connect to it through ADLS Gen 2 APIs. So some things are Fabric and some things are not Fabric, which of course, goes back to one of the fundamental questions of what is Fabric. And the Fabric is in OneLake is supposed to be this one-stop shop for everything. Well, it's not, because data marts apparently don't count. I'd also tried data sets. Those don't seem to count either as Fabric items. So some things are Fabric items, some things are not Fabric items. Apparently lake houses and warehouses are Fabric items, but other things are not Fabric items. So again, even Microsoft can't even get their documentation right on this product. It's tragic how bad this is. So anyway, going back to I think that's everything I wanted to cover on the data mart. So you're thinking, well, why, Greg, why are you using data marts? Well, because the other way doesn't work. It fundamentally, it's you get stopped even before you're like even try to attempt it. So anyway, let me show you that. So this was my very first one. This was the one that I was like that was one I was kind of experimenting around with. Okay, so let's get into this one and see all this stuff, right? So when you create a warehouse, right, and I can go to new and blah, 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 go to warehouse, it creates you a warehouse and data set, and that's all well and good. Well, the minute that you want to add something to your data warehouse, this was taken forever earlier, and I don't want this video to be like 20 hours long. This stuff takes forever, people. Okay, there we go. So here you're going to see dim customer, dim date, dim drive. The way you get that data in here is the only options you have are new data flow Gen 2 or new data pipeline. Now we'll get to data pipeline in a second, but I use data flow Gen 2. All well and good, except, and I've seen, okay. I wasn't clicking that fast, people. The interesting thing about this is when you create the first data flow, it creates all this crazy stuff. So it created a data flow staging lakehouse, data flow staging lakehouse, data flow staging lakehouse. One's a lakehouse, one's a SQL endpoint, one's a data set. It also created data flow staging warehouse, data flow staging warehouse, and Yeah, one's a warehouse, one's a data set. So I don't know why it bothered to ask me like, oh, do you want to create a data warehouse when it's just going to create lake houses and stuff for me anyway? Anyway, um, sure. Uh, um, so this all gets very confusing because you start to go to one place and oh, you can't do anything here. Like if I go to this data set, it's like I can't do anything here. It's like, oh no, you need to go to your data warehouse and do stuff up there. Like I can't open the model, I can't do anything really with this at all. Yeah, it's just kind of useless appendage kind of sitting out there. If I want to do anything to it, I go to the data warehouse, and then this is where I build my model, which is where the problem occurs. So when you go to the model, you'll notice in here, when you get in here, where are my key columns, right? Geography key and customer key. They just evaporated, right? I could see them when I was building my data flow. If you go into data flow and if it comes back with any reasonable amount of time, you'll actually see the key columns and they're there all the way to the end and you can see them. And even when it, the preview and the data load and even in the lake house, you can see those columns. But in the data warehouse, the keys just evaporate. They're just gone. And so it's impossible. This is where you get stuck, right? I can't even build a customer to geography relationship because Fabric and all of its wonderful goodness just like took my keys away. And I can't explain it. And I've done this, I don't know how many times, and it always takes the keys away. They just evaporate. It's the craziest thing. So this is useless. I can't even go any further than this, really, because the data flow Gen 2, when using that with the data warehouse, the keys just evaporate. So I can't even build a data model in Fabric right now for a warehouse that's using data flow Gen 2. It's not possible. Um, and I've seen this complaint out in the community forums as well. I'm not the only one. I'm not crazy about this. There have been like, hey, I can't use Dataflow Gen 2 because half my columns disappear randomly. I agree, especially the important columns. But maybe this will come back in a reasonable amount of time and I can actually show that those columns really do exist. But this was taking forever. I don't know how long I've spent staring at this stupid teal circle. And I am wearing my teal, fabric robe. Thank you, Tom and Brian. I do really appreciate it. I figured I'd wear it for this special occasion. But yeah, this never comes back in any reasonable amount of time. So I'm just going to move on. But I could show you that yes, these columns really do exist, and and if you go to the data lake, you can see the data in them, and you can see those. But whatever reason, the warehouse they poof gone. So anyway, so that was a total. Yeah. What was this? Yes, I want to exit. Um, See, I really couldn't even go any further. So then I thought, well, maybe I'll try a pipeline. So I'll go into my data warehouse. And instead of using Dataflow Gen 2s, which seem to be completely broken and beyond repair, we will use a data pipeline. Maybe we'll use it, maybe not. Maybe Fabric's just going to be like, meh, I don't feel like working today at all. Nope, here we go. Okay, new data pipeline. Yes. So, okay, we're going to use data pipeline. Maybe this will get us around this, pipeline 3. Great, create that. I always like think of the Wheel of Fortune music whenever I see this stuff. Da, 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 da. Or is that Jeopardy? It's one of them. Yeah, it's Jeopardy, I think. Da, 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 da. Okay, so that's my son yelling. He must be he's making if you can hear that, he's making his own video over in the other room apparently. Okay, so he just released his Minecraft Doors Hotel Update 2. It's freaking crazy video. You should go over as Zapper, ZAPPR. You should go over and check it out. It's just the video editing he can do is amazing. All right, so SQL Server, and I got an existing connection here. Next. Some more spinning circles of death. It's testing. Oh, it's testing connection. It's going to fail. So this is going to fail. And before you say, "Well, Greg, you're an idiot," and I used my, it did know about that connection. You're going to be like, "Well, did you open firewall ports, Greg?" Yes, I did. Well, did you make your decom edits? Yes, Yes, I did. Right. I went into security and added and customized and added my user as a user there. Well, Greg, did you can do you have actually integration services installed and can you connect to it? Well, yes, I can. Here it is. Right. Well, Greg, did you change your network settings for your SQL Server to enable? Oh, yes, I did. I enabled name pipes and TCP/IP and set all that stuff up. And it still doesn't work. I'm sorry to tell you. Yeah, it doesn't work. It'll come back here in a second and it'll fail. And it'll talk about name pipes and did you enable name pipes and did you open firewall settings and all this stuff that I did. And I did. I restarted my services and restarted everything and yeah, I can't connect. Yeah, it's no, no, it's has no idea. So I couldn't even get that working either. And it's not like I'm technically inept at this stuff. I've been working with SQL Server and SSIS and that stuff for 20 years. But yeah, I am sure I'm doing something. I'm missing something. If somebody could tell me what I'm missing, that'd be great. But I seem like I went through all the normal things that you go through to get that to work. Couldn't get that to work. So yeah, so warehouse was kind of pretty much dead in the water. I couldn't get it to work at all. But I couldn't really go any further because I couldn't actually even build a model as a data warehouse because it stripped out my key column. So fail. Um, then the last thing I did, workspaces, I did try it with Lakehouse, but again, it's total failure. Created the Lakehouse and it, imported the data, create all this crazy stuff. Go to my Lakehouse. You really can't do anything with it, right? Well, if it ever loads. Look, I can go the opposite direction with my mouse cursor. Do you think I'm going? Yeah, if you maybe you think I'm going. You're thinking, Greg, you're a hot mess. Probably after dealing with this crap for the last several days, it's just been miserable, um, absolute miserable. Yeah, so again, you can see actually that the data flow. It's the data flow Gen 2. That's the problem because again, it stripped out my key columns. It is gone. Customer key, geography key is just gone. Right. I didn't tell it to delete them, but it deleted them. So and you can't really do anything with a lake house anyway. It's not like you have anything that you can build like a model or anything like that, right? There's really nothing much you can do with it other than just throw data into it. So I mean, again, why did I end up at Datamart? That's why, because I tried everything else first, and it was unsuccessful. So again, like I can't open this data model and edit anything and mess with the model at all or do anything. So yeah, that's it. I mean, I can't comprehend the MVPs and other people out there that are touting this as the greatest thing since sliced bread, because all you have to do is work with it for like less than an hour, and you realize it's trash. And just I'm just trying to build fake stuff, right, for blog articles and using the idealized of all idealized database stuff, right? I'm just trying to create fake things that aren't going to be used in real life production or anything, just for content purposes, and I can't even get it to work, right? And that's sad in my opinion. So anyway, that's all I had for this video. I just don't see it, people. This has got a long way to go. I mean, like a long way to go. Even if they fix this, the things that I've shown in this video and those things are fixed, getting it to the slickness and how integrated it is and just the how natural it is to author things like the things like at scale or other products that are out there in the market, whew, Fabric is way, way, way behind the eight ball. And I don't see people that are out there saying that this is the greatest thing. It's game changing. It's groundbreaking and everything else. I disagree. That's it for this video. Have a good one. Bye.